knowing we don't need roads.
Did I leave the stove on?
I didn't choose this counselor. This counselor chose me.
Future.
And welcome back to Movies Are the Future, your ultimate film-obsessed movie podcast experience. Today, we're in the Endgame. It's technically the after game, right?
Yeah.
Like, are we still in the Endgame, or like,
It's over.
has the Endgame ended?
It's the post-Endgame.
This is the end. This is the post-game, chat, I suppose. I'm Harry Sweeby.
I'm Declan Wilson.
I'm Dragon Simon.
And I'm Heath Moran.
Special guest returning after his fabulous debut on the last episode, episode 4. You got quite a lot of support from your fans out there, Heath.
Yeah, it felt pretty good. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, so we had to get you back for this Avengers Endgame spoiler special, which we'll be going through all of the big reveals, the big deaths, the big returns, all of that surprising stuff, and all of the times that we cried. My tally, probably 5. Dragon, because he's a hard ass, 0. He just doesn't give a shit.
You know what? I got a bit teary. No, I wouldn't say cry.
I got a bit moist
yeah.
in the face. Unfortunately, Mr. Big Red Jazz Machine, Jacob Medlin, has the other microphone today, so Dragon and Heath are going to be sharing one.
That's okay.
Yeah, we're just going to have to share for a while. That's okay.
That's what they do best, is
Share?
share. I've been trying to pitch a show called Samaran, and it's like their podcast, but it doesn't seem like they're keen. It'd be like Thor Ragnarok or something.
Moving on.
Yes, moving on. So obviously, if you've never watched this before and this is your first episode, I'm from theslopshack.com, which does a whole bunch of podcasts and music videos and stuff. These two guys are from Movies of the Future, which you can find at instagram.com/movies_of_the_future, where you can get all your latest movie news and reviews. And then Heath's just from Brisbane.
Yeah, it's from Heath's place.
From Heath's place. And Heath's from the podcast Samaran, coming soon. Fantastic.
Can I be a special guest on that?
Yeah.
I would
TBC.
Fantastic. So I guess that's it. If this is your first episode, though, you can find the other 5 episodes that we've done on YouTube, our channel at the Slopshack YouTube channel, and also Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, all of your audio services that you use for all your other podcasts. So thanks for joining in. Obviously, we're from Australia, if you're from overseas and you didn't work that out. And so, yeah, we've seen the movie. I've seen it twice now.
I've seen it twice as well.
Twice. These two guys have seen it once. But it's a big movie, so seeing it twice isn't necessarily a good thing, and especially in close proximity. But
Yeah.
we'll talk about that, I suppose, as we go along. Awesome. So that's your official spoiler warning. Get the fuck out of here if you don't want to be spoiled. Thanks. All right, guys. General thoughts. Let's go down the line. How did we feel about Avengers Endgame?
Well, I thought it was amazing. Like, it really was an end to this whole cinematic universe. The Marvel
Mm.
movies are like our Star Wars, and as a nerd, they mean so much to me. And when I saw the first Avengers in 2012, it instantly became my favorite movie. Like, it's so special to me. And seeing it all come to an end was just so fulfilling. And Endgame really delivered.
It's like we're at a eulogy. It's like
He was so young.
Yeah.
So I never got on the Marvel train until, like I've been telling these guys, I stumbled upon Iron Man playing on a TV at Harvey Norman, and I just stood in front for the whole runtime. I was like, this is so cool. And I never went back and watched it until I watched Iron Man 3 in the cinemas. So I guess from there, I was, hooked, undoubtedly. And
your first Marvel movie in cinemas was Iron Man 3?
yeah.
Thank God.
So yeah, like I guess what Declan said, it was completely fulfilling. It wrapped up everything very nicely, and yeah, it had a whole bunch of fan service, which was just great to see. And the 3 hours did not feel like 3 hours. It was so warranted. It's like you don't know what could have been cut out, and nothing really shouldn't have been cut out. So yeah, it was just fantastic all around.
I loved it. I thought it was really great. Like Declan said, it's like super satisfying, and also I've seen pretty much every single MCU film apart from Iron Man 3 in cinemas since Avengers.
That's funny, yeah.
Since first Avenger. I've seen
Wow.
like all of them
Yeah,
in
yeah.
cinemas since then. And yeah, I feel like I can finally stop watching these movies. Like I love them, but I feel like now the Infinity Saga's done, I feel like I can get off the ride.
That's interesting, yeah.
I want to keep watching them, but I'm gonna see how they keep intriguing me. But I feel like now that this whole saga is done, I feel like I can move on with my life.
I just feel so fulfilled. It feels so complete.
You can
that I
rest.
don't-
Yeah, I feel
as much as I'm like, ooh, Guardians 3, Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange 2, I could skip them.
See, I'm on the other end of the train, but I guess that's an interesting thing to think about is, how they keep people invested when the big team-up events are less, scheduled.
And I'm sure we'll talk about it later. I don't mean to flex or anything, but I felt like I saw the whole plot of the movie. I'd already kind of predicted everything that would happen, but they had little moments in there that I never saw coming a mile away. I never thought they would do it, and they did it. It made me very happy, and I had a massive smile on my face all the time until the parts where I was meant to be crying. So yeah, I thought it was really, really great.
Beautiful. No, I really loved it. I think it's probably the cinematic moment, specifically Avengers Assemble, will go down in history. It's probably the biggest moment in just cinema history. Like, if you think about 11 years of movies, 70 years of comics, all of this build up, just everything coming to a head in one movie, like, it's just the biggest thing ever. And I'm sure the box office will reflect that. And it's just going to be this cultural milestone where we all remember where we were when Cap pulled Mjolnir into his hand and fucking said Avengers Assemble. And I want that. There's two shots from the movie that I really want as like just posters and stuff. There's Cap by himself standing in front of the whole army.
Yeah, that was
just insane.
I just want like that on the wall there.
Yeah. And then there's Cap with Mjolnir, and there's that one big shot where it pans through, and then fucking Giant Man just punches one of those like worm things, and just, oh god, I'm so keen to go through it frame by frame and just pick out all the moments. So it was great. Not gonna lie, it's not like perfect. It definitely drags a little bit at some points, just in the second act, because there's just so many different things they have to do. Like, they have to retrieve 6 freaking MacGuffins in the second act, and so obviously it keeps going. But there's never a moment where you're like, you don't want to be in it. But yeah, if you think about just how tough it would have been to structure it, they did the best job they could have done. Like, there's no other way to do it.
Yeah.
As Doctor Strange says, this was the one where they did it right, So yeah, it was great. So let's start going through. I kind of want to go through. You were talking about predictions. Did you guys have your predictions? Like, were they right? Were they wrong? And did that affect your experience at all?
For me, it was just I didn't put down any proper predictions because I kind of didn't want to. I don't know. I just assumed like Captain America and or Iron Man, something's got to happen to them, because I feel like that's what we've all been expecting, and that's all I really thought about. I just wanted to go in like willing, just I don't know, yeah.
That's beautiful. I wish I could have done that.
So I had a couple of predictions. My one was at least 3 Avengers to die, and 2 of them got to be out of the original 6, which happened. But
Yeah.
I guess
There you go.
only two died, whereas Cap, went back and lived his life. So another one was no post-credit scene, which was more of a want from me instead of a prediction. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted nothing. Like, they obviously left the door open, but not too open for everything else. I wanted Korg and Meek to appear in some way.
Well, you fucking got that.
Yeah, so
in
like
probably the
as
funniest
soon
scene.
as like the folk music and they were driving to New Asgard, I was like, this would be the perfect scene for them to show up.
Yeah.
And I threw just one stupid prediction, which was someone dabs or flosses. And little do you know, Hulk dabs away.
In 2023.
Yeah, 2023. So
That's funny, man.
yeah, so those were my predictions. And
So you got everything right.
yeah.
Well done.
So because I predicted it and I saw it happen, like my experience was not way down. It was just cool to see like, oh, okay, that happened. So yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Hey guys.
Hey, welcome back to the Heath Show. So, I thought I was really, really clever when I came up with this theory, and then I found out that like the rest of the world had come up with this theory as well. I thought I was so cool, but I guess I'm not. Yeah, I predicted that they'd find Thanos at the start, and then he'd be like, "Haha, fuck you. There's actually nothing you can do," and then they'd have to do the whole quantum realm shit. And that happened, and so I was quite like, "I'm so clever," but like
Everyone else is like, when they cut his head off,
Yeah.
and you're just sitting there like,
well, I didn't think they'd kill him. I had a feeling that like they'd go there and he'd be like, "Yeah, sorry, I can't help you." They'd be like, "Oh, fuck this guy," and they'd leave. But yeah, when they just straight up decapitated him, I was like, "Oh well, bye Thanos," and I was kind of sad. I was kind of like, I really like him, and I'm sad that he's
just
gone
cooking
now.
and just. You think about the last hours of his life, right? He gets he's stabbed by Stormbreaker. He gets his arm crisp from the stones when he snaps. He then gets his whole body crisp when he destroys the stones. Then he gets his arm cut off, and then he gets his head cut off.
Yeah.
In like the span of like 23 days.
Well, I liked how they just kind of decked him. I like how he was just cooking
Yeah.
by the fire, and they come in and like in 2 seconds they've got him restrained, which I think was a nice comparison to when it took like tons of them and like ages for them to like hold him down. He still won in Infinity War.
How did Hulkbuster like tunnel underground though? Like that's what I want to see. Is just Mark Ruffalo digging a hole.
I like his he has drill hands.
Oh,
Like,
true.
I have no idea, but I kind of hope I wanted to see the drill hand scene. Yeah, but when he died, I was like, oh, that's a bit shit. And then I was really, really happy when he came back through sneaky means. Well, I guess we're doing spoilers. So yeah, when he came back through, well, I guess I already spoiled the movie saying he died, but
2014 Thanos came
yeah,
back.
2014
Yeah.
Thanos comes back.
That was an interesting...
Yeah, his character felt different, in this one. But I guess we'll talk about that later. But
I thought that I thought that I had 3 predictions, and I was almost so confident. I thought Captain America was going to die. Like, I thought he was going to sacrifice himself. I was going to be like, "Oh wow, look, he couldn't actually do it all day. Fuck you, Captain America." But and then like I thought War Machine was going to die, and I was really kind of hoping that War Machine was going to die because War Machine's kind of done fuck all. He kind of just hangs
Yeah,
around
that's
for the
fair.
sake of them needing to have War Machine. And I actually can't remember who I said was going to die as well. No, I didn't say Black Widow. I wanted to say Black Widow, but then I was like, nah, I forget. But yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, and it gave me everything I wanted and a little bit more. So
That's beautiful.
it's a good fucking
Well,
movie.
when we were going to do our predictions thing, I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff. Like, I actually sat down and really thought about it for the first time. And I was adamant. Ever since the movie was, announced, really, everyone was like, Captain America will live. I don't know. Everyone seemed to be saying that Tony was likely to die, I guess. And I was adamant. I was like, Tony can't die. Like, the arc that they've set him on, the fact that they set up the start of Infinity War with him saying no more surprises, we're going to get married, we're going to have a kid. I was like, that's how it has to end. Like, it ends with that. There's just no way. And Captain America's a soldier. He's going to get a soldier's death. He's got nothing really to live for. He says at the end of Age of Ultron, like, he doesn't really have that, like, retirement life, And so I was like, there's no way Captain America's going to die. And there's no way that they kill Tony. Here I am, though. So when it happened in the movie, it was a combination of genuine shock because I guess most people probably would have thought, oh yeah, then that makes sense. I was expecting it, but I was so 100% like confident it wasn't going to happen that it genuinely took me by surprise, and that just made it so much harder to watch. But watching it the second time, I totally get it, and it makes so much sense. Like, if you have Captain America sacrifice himself, it's not interesting because obviously, he's always from day one when they throw the grenade on the ground, he jumps on it. He is that guy. But to have the movie start with Tony saying, "No, fuck you guys. I've got my life. I've got all the things that I want. I don't want to lose that. Like, I don't want to help you guys." And to have it end with him snapping his fingers and giving up his life and his daughter and his and his wife and everything to save like the whole universe is awesome. Like it's just such a good arc, and having Captain America get the thing that he never had, which was just a happy life, and he gets Peggy, and it just makes so much more sense that they did it that way. So yeah, I thought well done, hats off to them. And then I was sure we were going to see Tony and Pepper's wedding. We didn't get that. We got a funeral, which was a great scene, but very, very sad as well. And what else? I also thought that they wouldn't kill Thanos, and I was totally wrong about that. And I thought Gamora would come back from the Soul Stone, all that shit. They kept everyone that they killed dead, which I was so impressed by.
I was happy with that decision.
Yeah, like... No, like I was like the only person, like Loki will come back, Vision will come back, because they're all on the TV shows and stuff, but no, fucking still dead, which is impressive. And yeah.
I have a quick thing, if I can say one.
Yeah, please do.
As a fellow Iron Man 3 fan, how'd you feel the kid from Iron Man 3
was fucking awesome.
showed up at the end?
I was a
of
little
the
disappointed
movie?
because I knew he was going to be in the movie.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. I thought he was going to be in it for longer. But he literally shows up in one scene, and yeah, I feel like half the people that watch the movie are like, who the fuck's that kid? Like, that's the big question. And he looks so much
Yeah.
older too, so it's hard to sort of tell.
For a minute I was like...
When you think about it in universe, though, it's like, so obviously this isn't like a public like funeral. You know, they're not inviting everyone to come out to this. It's just like close friends and family. So did Pepper know about this kid and just
Tony
say,
must
hey,
like talked
come?
about him or something, being like, hey, I met this
Yeah.
random kid while I was on my trip.
Yeah, it's weird. But you think about how many like kids like that he like children figures that he had. Like there was him, and there was Peter, and then there's Morgan now, and like they really played like it's. We'll talk about it later, but I guess actually, you know what? Fuck it, we'll talk about it now. My question is like, what do they do with those characters from the Iron Man franchise? Because there's so much there now. Still, there's still War Machine and Happy, and now Rescue with Pepper and.
Well, I suppose
You know?
I don't think Gwyneth Paltrow really wants to continue. So,
Yeah.
but Happy, I suppose he's in the Spider-Man movies,
Oh yeah, that's right. He comes back in.
and
Yeah,
War
you're
Machine
right.
can just probably
Chill
just
out.
go into anyone's franchise, really.
I feel like he's like a Falcon now.
Yeah.
Kind of show
Yeah.
up as like in the ensemble films.
And then Morgan, will we ever see like will they ever do a Iron Man with like, you know, the kid from Iron Man 3 and Morgan and, you know,
I hope not.
who knows?
I really don't think so. I don't think they'll go
Yeah.
that route.
Yeah, it seems weird.
If Marvel's still popular in like 15 years, they probably will.
I guess if they're gonna keep, like they proved at the end of this movie that then like even when they kill characters, like, you know, the shield passes on. Like we'll always still have these main characters, but as different actors and people, I guess. So I assume maybe in 20 years they'll do another Iron Man with a new, you know, not Tony Stark. They'll never like recast. So yeah, it's gonna be weird. How long can they keep this going for? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, because like as of now, the only ones that I'm hyped for are Far From Home and Guardians 3. I'm sure I'll be excited for the other ones when I see something or if it gets closer to them. But yeah, I guess like with Heath, I could just get off the train at any point and not really care, because it's like if some of them are misses, at least I know we have this that was like consistently good. So yeah, like that's a fulfilling series, whereas these other ones are just sort of spin-offs sort of things. So yeah.
There you go.
I got a thing to say on the when will it ever end and will it ever be popular. I've talked about this with these guys before, but I'm a massive Doctor Who fan.
Yes.
I really like Doctor Who, and in like that show they often like go through all these different reincarnations of the show, and so when people don't like the new stuff, they have the old stuff, and that sort of story is over. So you can hop off the train whenever you want, and I think that now that the Infinity Saga is over, that's that done, and now when they're doing new stuff, they're going to do a whole new thing and cut that off. And so now you've got a whole bunch of different little segments that really you can just like in the whole new saga thing that they're doing, they introduce a whole fuckload of new characters, and then everyone that is still alive from the first saga can die. Then it moves on to these dudes. And so like in a few years, there's no one that you know from the first one anymore. And it's totally new people. But people can love them just as much because we've grown with them now. So I feel like this could go on for ages.
Yeah.
But just has to keep reinventing itself.
So it's interesting if like they still seem to have characters that will like cross through both phases though. Like technically, like you couldn't just go into Phase 4 having not seen any of the other movies. Like you really need like pretty like Black Widow. I guess Black Widow you could because it's like probably a prequel. I mean, well, I guess it is. It is a prequel. Yeah, Jesus. And I guess there's like new characters like Eternals and like Shang-Chi, and
Not even gonna go there.
yeah. But like, yeah, there is still a lot of stuff. So I wonder if maybe Phase 4, like you're talking about Doctor Who, and I was like, what if like, you know, what happens when Feige leaves? You know, we have like a Russell T Davies into Stephen Moffat, like, and then people are like, oh, Feige's era was better, and then not this new
But then
producer.
there's going to be new people fans. Because like
Yeah.
with Doctor Who, there are like Stephen Moffat fans who like that stuff way more than the older stuff.
Yeah.
And so I reckon if they had a whole new like lead producer, is that what Kevin Feige is?
Yeah, like head of Marvel.
Yeah, head of
Studios,
Marvel.
President of
I feel like if they had a new head of Marvel, they'd have like, you know, they'd have a whole new tone, and some people would prefer that. Some people would be like, I like the new stuff more than the old stuff. That's just, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if like, how long he stays around for after this. Now that he's pulled this off, and he's probably just keen to get his hands on the X-Men and stuff. So maybe after they do a couple of those, he'll
I
bail.
feel like this is the only thing. Like, he's a producer, but he's only been around like Marvel films. He's not like a studio, like your typical studio exec that'll go, oh, my time's here up. I want to go to Warner Brothers now. It's like his thing is Marvel.
I think he just wants this.
That's all he can do, sort of.
They'll have to pull him away from it, even though they won't, because he's made the biggest franchise ever.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to say no, Kevin, stop. When he's made what soon to be about a $20 billion freaking franchise.
He should just retire and have people like come clamoring for him.
Yeah,
He'll be like George Lucas, just do one sort of
And do it
series, and then he'll just move on
it's crazy.
into retirement.
Yeah,
Make solo indie films just for him. You guys seen that stuff? How like George Lucas says he just makes movies just for him now?
yeah. It just doesn't know to show anyone.
Yeah, like he has like whole casts and whole films, but only he sees them.
I don't know if
didn't
that's
know that.
real.
I don't know
or
if it's
he's
real,
just
but like,
shitting, but
yeah,
like,
that's what he
it's so funny.
claims.
Can you imagine just having that much money? Like, I was gonna make a $30 million movie and just for me and my family. Like, it's fun. It is what it is, you know. He's just bored as fuck now. All right, so let's do it. Cool. The big points. I've got a list of the major moments and things that were in the movie, and we're just gonna go through each of them and sort of give our thoughts. Obviously, the big one, Tony dead. We've talked about it a bit. Any other thoughts? Well, how did you think it was staged? Did you cry?
I thought it was an amazing scene. Just his final words, "I am Iron Man," and I thought Gwyneth Paltrow really sold it. Like sort of looking strong, pushing Peter away, and then as soon as Tony's light went out, she just lost it. I was like,
So yeah, I agree. I think that I love that she wasn't like just a huge noise now.
God.
Drax. Yeah, I love that she wasn't like, no, Tony, come back, don't die on me. You know, like it's just a blubbering mess. Like she just comes in and she knows and she understands and she asks Friday and like life system's critical and she just says it's okay, we're safe. Like you can rest now.
Yeah.
Like it was.
it's so heartbreaking.
She
but
played it so well.
Yeah.
And Ava pointed it out to me. It's the first time Peter Parker ever says Tony.
Yeah, I said that to Declan last night. Actually, I was just
Yeah.
because for me it hit in two moments. The first one was Peter going to Tony after he died, and he was just saying, "Mr. Stark, it's okay, we won," and then he calls him Tony. I was just like, "Oh man!" And then the second one was when Happy was talking to the daughter Morgan, and was like, "What do you want to eat?" And then she's like, "Cheeseburgers." I was like, "Oh man!" So yeah,
It's such an like if you didn't remember that scene, from Iron Man, it's like what the fuck is just talking about cheeseburgers? But like it's such a sweet callback.
But then like Happy's face, he's just like the realization. He's like, "Oh, your dad loved cheeseburgers." It was so good. But like this is obviously something I can gloss over. It's just I don't understand how Tony got all the stones. Like in that point,
he just grabs so you see it. He runs over and he just puts his hand on.
Yeah,
Thanos'
I saw
glove,
that.
and then I assume that they just slide over. Like,
okay, yeah,
because it's all nanotech, right?
Because
So-
like I can
True.
look over there, but like it was just a
Yeah.
thing. I was like, how do you get all the stones?
and then you see them move up into
Yeah,
position.
which was so cool.
I don't know why I like that effect so much.
It's weird, especially when you like. I should have called it when they put the stones on the gauntlet for Hulk and stuff, but like, even like Thanos dies at the end with an Iron Man gauntlet on. Like, it's just such a weird. There's a lot of just. like just cross pollination of franchises like Cap and Mjolnir and just
Yeah.
all these things. We'll talk about that in a sec. But yeah, any thoughts on Tony's funeral?
Oh, I love that one shot of every main character sort of just there. That was nice.
Gwyneth Paltrow spoiled that in the premiere interview. She didn't really. They're doing the interview, and it was her and Jon Favreau and Chris Evans and RDJ. Like all of them were there and talking. And they're like, Gwyneth, what was your favorite? What was it like on your last day of shooting and knowing it was the last time? And she was like, she sat there. She just stood there for like 30 seconds, like, fuck, how do I answer this question? And then Jon Favreau just leans in. He's like, careful. And then she's like, well, I don't know if it was the actual last day, but there was this one day where like we were all together at this lake and it was just really nice. And then you just see all of them go like, and she's like, wait, can I say that? Can I not say that? And Jon Favreau just goes like, he's like, fuck.
Harry was like, the wedding.
Yeah, I was like, it's the wedding on the lake, confirmed. So it didn't spoil it for me, but she almost dropped the ball. And of all the people, obviously it was going to be Gwyneth Paltrow because she doesn't even watch the movies. But
She freaking posted the picture of her in the restaurant like a couple months ago.
I think like it must be so difficult to keep shit secret, especially when everyone's pressuring you all the time. They try to trick you up. They're so good at it, and
if I was interviewing, I would have loved to just walk in and be like, just totally unrelated to Endgame, but like, what are your guys' favorite time travel movies? You know, and just saying like how they answer that question.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, then it's just they confirm it. You know, so it's. Anyways.
Yeah. So on the Tony death thing, I was weirdly I was sad, but I wasn't crying or anything when he died, and it was all like, oh no, it's okay, and all that kind of shit. And when they had the whole watching the hologram, I was like, oh, this is quite sad. But then when they put the thing on the water and it had the proof that Tony Stark has a heart, I was like, fuck. Yeah, and I was tearing up. Then I was like, oh my god, all right, fine, you got me, movie. Fuck you. Yeah, that made me really that got me. That really got me. And the cheeseburger thing. I was like, no.
No. And I'm like, oh, dragging you emotionally.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that was good.
So sad. Just the image of him just crispy, sitting there, can't even talk, just basically held together by his suit.
Thing.
And just, it's just an image that's just going to be burnt in my head for forever. Sad.
And I loved how Pepper asked the suit, it was like, Friday, what is health levels or whatever it was, and the sound was so quiet, you can just hear critical, really quietly. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and then the shot of his hand and Pepper's hand, and then talking about his arc though, I just thought they played it so well. Starting the movie with him basically stranded, and he's kind of lost hope, and then coming back and just being this really skinny, just kind of crazy guy, and then going from that to him having this really nice relationship with his daughter, and just the daughter was great. She's just really good. And then going from that to him, probably his biggest invention ever, which is time travel, which he just does, as a nice little after dinner experiment.
Just as you do, you're just like, oh, I'm gonna just go build a time machine.
I thought they played it really well, where it just happens. He just sits down, I thought that was really, he just is oh Jesus, it worked. But then from that to helping the team, to traveling through time, through getting closure with his dad, through fighting side by side with his wife in Iron Man armor, to getting reunited with Peter, to sacrificing himself. It was just such a good single movie arc, but then how it just tied up every other movie with him was just so good. It really was his movie, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like Infinity War was his movie as well.
They're all his movies.
Yeah.
This is really his big thing. It's really his whole exploration into him, I guess. And I think everything that he is summed up in these two movies, which I think is really good.
There you go. All right. Next up, Cap old. How do we feel?
I thought that was nice. Yeah. I'm a little bit confused about the whole timeline aspect of it, which Dragon will get to later.
Yeah, we're almost there.
But I still thought it was nice, and him passing on the shield to Falcon. That was, even though I said I'm not really interested in what happens afterwards, it does make me a little bit more interested in the Falcon Winter Soldier TV show.
What is his costume?
Yeah,
that's all I want to know. Is he still called Falcon?
Will he have America's ass?
That's funny. That was the best joke in the whole movie.
I just thought it was just a nice moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I thought it was like, I guess in the whole movie, like it was fulfilling. It was sort of leading to that moment where he can just finally settle down and all that. But my thing with the whole time travel thing was, so you have the basic sequence of events like on a line,
Yep.
and then the way they explained it from my memory is that you go back in time, you sort of change it, but it turns that whatever you change there is another parallel, or not parallel, alternate.
Yeah. Yep.
It creates it, but they go back to their own time. That's
yeah.
what I got.
Yeah.
So when Cap goes back,
Yes.
he should be living in his own alternate
Mm-hmm.
reality, which doesn't make sense as to why he shows up in the original timeline. And I understand it's nice. It's like sort of an end, but
Did make sense.
the
to you?
movie breaks its own rules with that.
So I thought that as well, and then
Yeah.
I read a theory that was like, he just he does come back through the portal when they bring him back,
Yeah.
but he just doesn't appear there. And then but then that doesn't make sense a lot
Yeah.
either.
'Cause
So the thing that finally made sense to me was that no, the conversation that Hulk has with the Ancient One
Yeah.
says that okay, if they take out this one of the stones, or obviously as they do, they take out all the stones.
Yeah.
You've got a whole bunch of branching pathways, right?
Yeah.
Where there's alternate parallel universes, and there's universes where Thanos doesn't exist from 2014 on, and that no one gets the stones, or there's universes where just it all goes crazy. But what they do is then Hulk is like, well, if we bring back the stones to the exact moment that they left, and obviously it's tough because we never see them get returned.
Yeah.
But if you bring them back to that exact moment, it's still just a one straight timeline, right? There's no other parallel universes. And the thing that doesn't make sense is like, well, no, Tony kills Thanos, and Nebula dies in the past and in the future, whatever. So like, there's still that like all those people are missing. There's all that shit that they changed. But then someone was saying, no, what Tony actually did was he snapped, and just they all died and all returned to their original timelines with no memory of the future. And so when Tony snaps his fingers, he doesn't just kill all the people at the battle. He resets the timeline to replace everyone back. And then Cap goes back, replaces the stones and Mjolnir, which is the two things that they took.
Yeah.
And we don't see it, but we can assume that he makes it work and, brings it back as soon as they were taken, so that it's still one timeline.
Yeah.
Nothing was ever changed, and that it wasn't parallel universes. It's just tricky because they never say that in the movie.
I guess the thing is, that's after obviously Tony snaps. So with, I can overlook it because it's a nice moment and all that. But in the whole rule of things, like I can understand him snapping and everyone fades away in 2023 and goes back to 2014, 1970 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with Cap, because obviously it's the end and obviously there's no stones left, or unless I don't know, Cap did something with the stones or whatever. But just in that whole thing, he should be living in his own.
Well, but what they were saying is this is just one timeline. Like, he goes back and then lives through to the present. It's just weird because, like, well, how did he not change anything? How did nothing in the future end up changed? And it makes it especially confusing when Hulk is talking to Ant-Man about, no, like, your future, like, if we go back to the past, then that past becomes our future. And it's just, we need the Russos to just come out, because I'm sure
there's
that
like
they've worked
some
it out.
explanation.
I'm sure they're not just letting these plot holes go through.
And plus, like, if he goes back, does that mean everything that we've seen in the movies happens without Captain America? Because he would be old by this time.
Everything happened as it did. Like, it's just one linear timeline, I guess, but it's confusing.
Yeah,
But the thing that I liked, though, when I thought about it, is like, if you take the idea that it is, when Tony snaps his fingers, he fixes all those problems, and all of the people go back to where they were supposed to be. So that everything continues on this, like, one big loop of, Thanos gets the stones and then snaps fingers, and then they get the stones back and unsnap it, and then they go back in time, and if it ends up in this big loop, then technically that's why it's called Infinity War, is because it's an infinite loop
doesn't stop
of going, traveling back and fixing it and snapping his fingers. And so when Thanos says I am inevitable, he's right, because he's always going to do what he does There's no way of stopping it. It's just that they fix it, and that's just how the timeline works. And so I kind of like that. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
The title Infinity War makes sense now. It's not just like a random title, and that his line about being inevitable is true because it always happens.
Okay. I see that. It's still it's
We'll
still
see.
a bit iffy for me at
Yeah.
least, but yeah.
Like there's stuff like great moment like when Cap says like Hail Hydra to those guys.
Oh,
That means that
Yeah.
in Winter Soldier they thought he was a Hydra agent, but they don't. Like
yeah.
And
Well,
then,
in their timeline at least.
yeah. And,
In that
that's-
one.
But in my head, that is the main timeline. So
Yeah,
it's-
so it changes things.
yeah. And then like Cap knows Bucky's alive because
Yeah.
Loki
'Cause-
told him, and like all this
Yeah.
shit. It's very confusing.
Because I watched the Flash show, and the way they explain, obviously different movies and shows have different explanations. The way they say it is if you change something even so small, it could drastically affect the future. And then it took a bit to understand this explanation,
Yeah.
and I sort of get it. But yeah, it's just they create alternate timelines doing these little things, and it's
Yeah.
not sort of on the mainstream. So
They should have just
Yeah.
done the alternate timeline thing because it'd be
Yeah.
cool if like they did a movie that was set in another timeline.
Or like at the end, it's just like Cap just doesn't come back, and maybe he leaves his shield behind for Sam, and then it's like where'd he go? And it just shows the end scene of him dancing
Yeah.
with Peggy, and that's an alternate timeline. But yeah, I mean,
And then someone pointed out to me is like technically if you think of it as one timeline, then when he made out with Sharon, he was making out with his niece. Because it's Sharon Carter is Peggy Carter's niece, which
Yeah,
means that if
so-
her and Captain America technically were the ones that had kids.
then that's a bit awkward.
But then when she sees him in Winter Soldier and she doesn't say anything, I don't know. It's all
Yeah,
confusing.
It's a bit of a
Anyways, moving on. Professor Hulk.
I liked it. It was good that Mark Ruffalo was actually able to do his performance 100% of the
Yeah.
time instead of Bruce Banner, and then he does his mocap performance for the Hulk. He actually got to act 100% of the time, and I thought it. And I had a problem in Infinity War with Hulk because he seemed really comedic, and I didn't really
Yeah.
like that. Whereas I thought it was a lot more balanced here. Like he had lots of funny moments, but he was also serious and
And he got the big moment with the snap. Like,
yeah.
because obviously in battle, Professor Hulk's kind of he just can't really do shit. Like you see in 2012, he's just like hitting the car and shit. Like, that was funny. But so they were like, obviously they had to give him a big moment, and it was he got to snap his fingers, which was fucking crazy. He was made for that. But yeah, did you guys think it looked weird? Did you guys like it?
upon like first glance, yeah, it did look a bit weird. It took me a bit to get used to, but then I just got used to it. The funniest thing for me, and these guys know how much I love this scene, was when he gives Ant-Man the taco, and it's the folk music, and he's just driving to New Asgard, and he's just sitting all excited in the back of the van. Oh, it's just so good.
What a great like character arc for that guy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Dragon. I thought it was a bit whack at the start. I was like, no way, they're actually doing the Professor Hulk shit. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. But yeah, I thought it was good after a while, and I thought it makes sense that he's like, yeah, I'm utilizing both sides. I thought that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was some fun Hulk stuff. It was like there's not much to it apart from it just being kind of like an initial gimmick.
Yeah.
So I feel like the point of it, everyone goes, "Whoa, no way!" and then it doesn't really go anywhere from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good.
I think it made sense. I feel like they worked backwards when they were writing the script. They're like, okay, so someone's got to snap their fingers to bring everyone back. But we've established with Thanos that it's like a huge deal. And they obviously established that it was a huge deal so they could kill Tony at the end. So they've been working backwards from that moment. But so then they're like, okay, well, we need then who out of the Avengers could snap their fingers and do it? Well, Hulk would be the one to do it. But then we couldn't just have him Hulk out and then snap his fingers because Hulk's like a baby. You can't do that. So then they're like, well, I guess we have to make Professor Hulk. And then they're like, well, they worked backwards and then it made sense.
Yeah.
But I think the interesting thing that it pointed out to me was when you look at the movie and like its themes and how it deals with like grief and the different ways that it manifests, you see it a different way in each of the 6 Avengers. Like Cap's sort of like trying to help everyone deal with it, but also not really dealing with it himself. Tony moves on and gets a nice life and makes everything good. Hulk like works on himself and fixes himself and like finally like so comes to terms with everything. Hawkeye just takes out his anger on everyone. Black Widow is like just fixated on going back and fixing it, finding some way to do it.
And Thor.
Thor's fat.
And Thor is fat. So that's the next one that we have to talk about.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming
I
at
loved
all.
it. I love how he stayed fat the whole movie.
Yes!
Like because I was really worried at the end when he grabbed both of his weapons and the lightning, he would just get shredded abs.
Yep.
But
There's a shot of him walking towards it with the two fucking
Yeah.
weapons and like his braided beard and his gut
His-
in armor. It's so funny.
I just love seeing because his armor's obviously padded like with the muscles, and then just seeing the belly. Oh, it's so good.
I love that. That scene is like I'm so glad they kept that a secret. And even in the trailers, they edited him to look like he did in Infinity War and
Yeah.
stuff. But like, what an arc and just a like where could you take Thor? You know, they'd made him comedic, and so now they've really just gone full tilt comedic. Like, it's great.
Yeah, just every moment where it's like the camera comes and it's just fat Thor with his scruffy beard and him wearing like sunnies. I just couldn't help laughing every time.
Especially, I feel like, I mean, probably everywhere it's funny, but I just feel like, especially for us, like, he's Australian and just, like, you know, just the whole thing. And, like, the shot of him sitting in the chair when they're like, Thor, is he asleep? Like, I think he's dead. And then, and the bit where he's explaining the Dark Elves and the Ether,
Oh.
and, like, everyone's like, oh, fuck. And then it cuts to that one shot of Ant-Man where he's,
Yeah.
like, really trying to
He was
enjoy
so
it.
excited. He was like, "Oh my god!"
Because, like, he's the one that does never been to space.
He was the
like-
audience.
Yeah.
Ant-Man was the audience in this movie.
Oh, and just that fucking scene is so like everything with him is so good.
Jane was a old flame of mine. Oh.
And then there's Dark Elves. Ooh.
Yeah.
He summarized Thor 2 so you don't have to watch it.
Yeah. Oh, but it's funny because the guys who wrote, we often forget, but the guys who wrote Endgame and Civil War and First Avenger, they wrote The Dark World as well. Like, they made the best movies and the worst movie. And so I like that they kind of got to redeem themselves a little bit by bringing up The Dark World a lot in this movie. They're like, we're going to go back and see the best moments. We're going to go see we're going to get a Winter Soldier moment. We're going to get an Avengers moment. But fuck you, we're going to go to the Dark World as well. You know? So I like that. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Should we move on to Black Widow? The death of Black Widow?
Yeah.
That was a heartbreaking scene of her and Hawkeye fighting over who should sacrifice
Really dark.
themselves.
It's only in a superhero movie where they're both so self-sacrificing that they have to fight over who gets to kill themselves. You know? Like,
Yeah.
what a weird scene to have.
Yeah, and as soon as it went slow-mo when Hawkeye started running, I was like, oh my god, he's gonna die. And then Nup gets grapple hooked to the... Oh. And their friendship was just, I think, was built really well over the films, and it just worked so well.
I don't know why I never like worked out that one of them was going to have to die until they cut to Vormir, but it's like
Same.
it's
I
obvious that one of them is going to have to die as soon as they say like they're going to Vormir, but I just don't think about it.
As soon as Red Skull showed up, I was like, oh, that's right. Someone has to die. Shit.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought like that's such a hero moment to fight over who gets to die. That was awesome. I'm surprised no one told them. I'm surprised no one's like, let's send these two best friends to the place where, because they know that someone has to die. Like Nebula knows.
Well,
Like-
yeah, they say it in the movie. They're like, oh, they piece it together. Like, so he went with
Yeah.
Gamora, and Gamora didn't
Well, she
come back.
pieces it
But
together in Infinity War. That's why Chris Pratt or like Star-Lord gets so fucked up.
yeah,
Or
Because she knows.
Or
maybe
ma-
she didn't want to tell anyone because it would have been too tough. Then they would have said, no, we won't. We don't trade
And-
lives. You know.
And if she'd said it, then maybe like her and War Machine would have gone, but they don't love each other, so then
Yeah.
it wouldn't have worked. Whereas Hawkeye and
Yeah.
Black Widow, in a friendship way, loved each other,
Yeah.
and so like
I wish Hawkeye had thrown his daughter over the cliff.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, no, I'm happy she's gone. I'm happy that like Black Widow's like I've never really liked her. I think she's a fake strong character.
Yeah. Okay.
Because she's not.
I
like,
guess.
she's not an actual character. No, because like she's not actually like a strong character. Like, she doesn't actually really have a character. She just fights really well.
Yeah.
Like it's not really like look at my personality. It's like I can beat people up real good. And so I've never really liked her that much. And also she kind of has no real place in the movie anymore. Like she always, like in like fighting gods and shit. like Thanos is essentially like a god. So like in fighting people like Thanos, she doesn't really do anything. And I feel like everything that she can do, she's done. Like she's done the spy shit in Winter Soldier. She's done the fighting stuff in all the Avengers movies. I think she's done. And so
Except she's not, because she's in a movie next year.
yeah, but I mean, like I think her from now on, like the only stuff that we can explore from her is her past.
Yeah.
And so I feel like anything in the future now is kind of done, and they knew that, so they got rid of her. I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. It shocked the fuck out of me when it happened, though. I was like,
Oh, it was just
what? Because she's in a movie. Like, it was the last thing I expected. But it makes so much sense. You send the two characters with the most history with each other to Vormir and just watch them battle it
Yeah.
out to kill themselves. It's a great idea for a scene.
Yeah, it did make me feel bad though that in the big final battle, Black Widow wasn't there. Even like it, that's not a complaint at all. It's just like from a
You would have felt more fulfilled, like,
It
because
would've
she would
just
have been the OG female.
I know.
You know, it would have been messed up if when Gamora, you know, there's a shot of Gamora on the you know, the ground, like with her head cracked open or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you just see slightly next to that just the bones of Black Widow from like 4 years earlier, you know?
Yeah.
Because she died obviously in 2014.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, can you imagine that?
Yeah,
Like,
that-
See it,
yeah.
she was dead.
no, we see it,
Ah.
like the audience.
I think when she like was like
See, but you didn't get a repeat of your fade from.
I didn't, yeah.
From the death. So
Yeah, so that was
Yeah.
that was okay. But
Good
I've
job.
learned to get over the fade.
it is a weird
It is,
fade.
yeah.
I do agree.
I just love how they reused the music. Well,
Oh,
obviously they were
yeah.
going to, but it was just so nice to hear it in the cinema again.
Mm.
That was just
Yeah.
fantastic.
There's a lot of Infinity War callbacks, which makes sense because it's like Infinity War Part 2,
part two,
but
yeah.
still, like, it was interesting.
Yeah.
There we go. The last thing I had as big moments was just fan service, which is our excuse to talk about all the cool shit that
All the
happened
wow moments.
when they went back in time, all the little Easter eggs and stuff.
Oh,
so
I loved it when they went back. That's my favorite movie ever. And seeing the Battle of New York again. Oh. and watching them like Cap versus Cap falling through the old
two
Avengers.
shields hit each other is so cool.
Watching them battle through the Avengers Tower and just seeing more of the Avengers Tower and Robert Redford showing up in the lobby and Hulk.
It's like the extended cut of the Avengers. It's
Oh.
like what they're doing when they're not being filmed.
And I love
know?
that when Tony Stark's watching them, or current Tony Stark's watching them, and they have that pose at the end of the first Avengers, and then 2012 Tony Stark's like says something like, "Okay, enough posing. That's
Yeah. We can
So-
pose up a storm later. Like,
that's it." Yeah.
But it reminds you that these characters like had a life outside the films that we never saw. You
And
know,
it
and
just-
there's so many moments you don't think about, like Hulk having to take the stairs. It's like obviously I guess that has to happen, but like it's so bizarre that you just don't think about it. Like it's so funny.
Yeah.
So many stairs. It's just- but that's so even a joke like that is so smartly tied in with how Tony gets fucked up and the Tesseract leaves and just it's so good.
Yeah, so just quick thing to say on that is that quick thing to say on that is that like it felt like you know how in like Rogue One they talk about like all the shit, like little stuff that people had complaints about. I remember remember those like everything wrong with things. I remember them like saying stuff like, so like why doesn't Shield have Loki? Why does Asgard get to fuck off with? Why does Thor get to fuck off
Yeah.
with Loki? Well, now you know that they tried to get Loki back for himself, and then Thor was like, no, he's coming back with me. I thought like just little things like that was cool, just like little.
I thought Robert Redford retired as well, and then he shows up in this movie like, well, fuck yeah.
I said that to these two yesterday. I was just like, so he lied that The Old Man and the Gun was his retirement
Maybe
movie.
he filmed this ages ago.
Oh yeah,
True.
but it was just like a funny thing.
Yeah. That's your last movie as in a career as
I-
Avengers Endgame. It's pretty
Oh
cool.
yeah, I loved because I never saw the first Avengers movie in the cinema, so seeing like the Battle of New York in the cinema was
And that team up shot. Yeah.
Oh
fucking
yeah.
epic.
Oh, it's so smart how they just found a way to give you like a highlight reel
yeah.
of the previous movies, but in this movie.
And the thing is, it's like, you know, after the posing thing, it's like everything you see after that doesn't feel like that doesn't belong there. Like you can see it actually happening back then.
Yeah. Oh, what a master job of continuity of just having to sit there and match everything, even
Yeah.
everything down to the hair and the shirts and just even the cuts on Tony's face afterwards are like matched from the end of the movie. Like it must have been such a pain and such a great job that they did of literally just making sure it fits. It's so
Yeah.
cool. Oh god.
One of some other wow moments. Captain America wielding Mjolnir.
Oh,
That
bro.
was
Fucking hell, man. See, that is ultimate fan service. Like, that's something that people have been talking about on, like, the Reddit threads for ages. And I was like, it's just not going to happen. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Because I read it in a leak, like, months ago. And
Yeah.
I was like hinted at since Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so smartly set up. I wonder how much they knew they were going to do way even back with Joss. Because there seems like they set it up. Like, when they say Endgame and Age of Ultron, when you have the hammer lift, like, it seems like they knew.
I just love when Thor's like, I knew it. Or it says something like that, doesn't it?
There
was right, yeah.
And there was a joke like in the middle of a big battle where they switch hammers. And they're like, no, you get the little one.
So cool, man. Honestly. Like, seeing it twice, the theater fucking erupts when that happens. Like, in Australia, like, when you see movies, there's usually not a lot of noise. But when that moment of it goes up and he brings it in, it's just fucking awesome. And then he does it again when he says Avengers Assemble.
Oh.
But, like, the theater didn't erupt. It was just Harry standing there. And he said what, and people were like, shut up. Like, we haven't even
Yeah,
Stand up.
I did. I stood up and fucking saluted. I was like in it.
I mean, if people were like, shut up.
I always like, yeah, like when I saw Last Jedi, I was like, if we see a green lightsaber, I stand up and I yell. The only fucking problem was that in The Last Jedi, it's in the darkest scene in the movie when he's about to kill Ben. So he just, bzz, and I'm like, yeah, shit. Yeah, it was really awkward. So I'm glad it was a happy moment in this one.
I think another funny cat moment for me was when in 2012 when old him was like, I can do this all day, and he was just sick. He was like, yeah, fuck, I know.
A great way to put the line in the movie without making it a repeat of how we've heard it before, you know?
Yeah.
Just like little baby nitpick thing. It's like I said this to these guys yesterday. I don't understand how like Captain America with his shield and with Mjolnir, Thor with Stormbreaker, and like fucking Iron Man doing Iron Man stuff can't defeat Thanos with no Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
Even though like in Endgame he had like 4 of them. In
Yeah,
Infinity War, he
Iron
had
Man is
4 of
close,
them,
yeah.
and they almost beat him. And I'm just like,
Well, he had an army, I guess, as well.
But
And
also,
he had
like,
a
when
double.
they're just fighting off with him,
Yeah.
he's like really.
It's because he had
holding
a
his own.
Darth Maul sword.
Oh yeah.
That's the big difference.
When he was beating down on Captain America, breaking his shield, I was like,
I thought that was it.
I was like, this is it. He's gonna.
Cap died. I swear.
Yeah. No, it's such a good shot. Like even when it hits and it just like it goes into the shield and then it
Yeah.
starts breaking and he fights the rest of that battle with like half a shield. It's pretty dope.
Yeah. That was probably the most scared moment. I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, he's gonna get like decapitated by
I was like,
Thanos.
because he stabbed him in the leg, doesn't he? He stabbed
Yeah.
him. I was like, oh no. I was waiting for like, you know how in Infinity War he just stabs Tony through the chest. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for him just, and he was gonna die.
Again, you go back to that moment. You think about Infinity War and how it connects to Endgame and all the stuff that they hinted at. Like, you know, obviously Doctor Strange has to get Thanos to stop because it's Tony that is the one that sells everything at the end with the snap. And so he's like, you can't kill him. You know, like we need him. And even that moment, you know, because he stabs him, he's about to kill him, and he's like, no, we need this guy specifically. You know, like so many things that they set up really, really well in the previous one.
What do you think of the female team up moment? I thought that was kind of cool.
Pretty cool.
I enjoyed it more the second time because it made a bit more sense, especially when you think of it as because it was Black Widow that says it, wasn't it, in Infinity War that says
she was just like she's not alone. Yeah.
So it's kind of like a tribute to Black Widow almost when they
Yeah,
all
true.
come together. Like
Yeah.
she was the original female like superhero, and now like you've got
Queens.
everyone else coming to
Yeah.
sort of do it. So yeah, it was cool.
I'm definitely with you. I enjoyed it more the second time. Like even though the first time I still liked that scene. It
Yeah.
was just like it took me by not shock, but like it was just like
It's like as much as I like it, it takes you out of the movie just a
It
bit
does,
because it's
yeah.
so obvious. And I was sort of waiting for like Drax to walk in and go, yeah, oh wait, no, and then like walk out of frame and then they run just to sort of they acknowledge that it's
they take the heat out of it. But then I like that they committed to it. I guess like that moment probably doesn't mean like that much to us, but I feel like you know
exactly.
that moment
Which is
would mean a
understandable.
lot.
Yeah.
To
Like
the
that's gonna
girls
be
watching.
like some you know someone's wallpaper. You know like
Yeah.
some
Exactly.
kids like
If-
hey, like I like started crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I was like, shit, like how funny is
I feel like if
That's
my
awesome.
like 13-year-old sister saw that, she'd be like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and I'm like, that moment's for them. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I forget that like I'm a 19-year-old guy. Like I'm a 19-year-old guy, and there's like 10-year-old kids who are seeing this movie like, yeah, something like that, you know. When we saw Avengers when we were like 12.
Yeah.
There's some kids that are seeing this movie when they're like that age, and this is going to be just the biggest fucking thing for them, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when we lined up for it, there were like all these parents with their little kids. And I'm
Exactly.
like, this is going to be fucking crazy. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. What else? Do you guys have any big things? Because I've just got a bunch of like little things.
I think
Guys
for
got-
me,
got some
was
stuff.
how little Captain Marvel was in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot. Just forgot about it.
Yeah, like,
I
I
know.
think all of us forgot because her last appearance was the hologram, and then she just came by.
What, are you
'cause
going to get another haircut or
Yeah.
something? Thoughts on the haircut real quick.
I
I was surprised.
it was fine.
I thought it was kind of cool.
I didn't mind it. It just
Yeah,
took
and all that.
it took me a bit to get used to.
Will she have the haircut in the next one?
Yeah.
Or was the next one set in the past?
Who knows?
That's
Who
true,
knows what
yeah,
they
it
do
could
with
be,
her.
yeah.
But yeah, when they're like something has entered the atmosphere, I was like,
What the fuck?
It's
is
I
that?
had-
Ultron.
I had-
Ultron comes back.
I had no idea, and then when she started, and then she started flying through the ships like she did at the end of Captain Marvel. I was like,
I definitely liked
There
her
she
a
goes.
lot more in this movie.
Yeah.
So OP
Yeah.
though.
She's OP, but she was like
She was
still arrogant, which is her character, but she was
Yeah.
the good type of arrogant. Like at the
Yeah.
start,
Yeah.
when she's like, "I'm gonna kill Thanos," which makes sense because
Yeah.
she just sees all this and she's like, "Well, fuck this guy."
My favorite line is, I can't even remember what she says, but just her attitude when she says it is when Peter's on the ground holding the gauntlet. He's like,
Oh, yeah,
hey,
she's
I'm-
like, "Hey,
I'm
Peter
and
Parker,
she goes,
you
hey,
got
Peter
something for
Parker.
me?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just so chill because nothing can hurt her, you know. But hopefully, we'll see.
And the headbutt too. That was pretty sick.
Oh yeah. And then he fucking hits her with a whole power stone, which like destroys whole planets, and she takes down the head. So there you go.
She just doesn't have ribs anymore. She's out of ribs.
But how did you guys feel when like that shot of Captain America staring down the army? It's like that. Oh my god, the world's about to end.
Wallpaper.
And then you hear Falcon.
Ah.
And then you just know that everyone's about to team up, and then all the portals open, and just that, and the Avengers theme blasting.
Don't even. I'm losing it.
Well,
Speechless.
part of
like-
me forgot that they snapped everyone back to life.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, oh no. And then when I heard Sam on the comms, I was like, that's right, they snapped.
Because it goes
So
straight from, oh my god, we did
It's
it,
literally
and then
Paul
it blows
Rudd
up. Yeah.
happy,
Speaking.
getting blown up.
I guess they're
And
just really
Ant-Man
lucky.
took like a direct hit. I know he goes
Yeah.
small, but still, someone should have died.
Like my god, it got bombed, and then there was that last one that just went.
Yeah, I
was
don't
like-
know.
I think I leaned over to Heath and I was like, "The end."
Yeah, straight up. It's just one of those. It's a movie, I guess.
Yeah.
I love that the final battle was at that look, like just the symbolism of having it at a just destroyed Avengers headquarters. Like it's the end of the franchise. They're
Yeah.
fighting on the ground where it all started and everything. So,
Yeah, it was. Oh.
and it's in New York too, which is where Marvel Comics started and all the superheroes seem to live. So, pretty dope. Pretty smart.
What do you guys think of Thanos back in this movie?
I thought
as
it was
good
just
as
an
ever?
interesting way to do it, having like they sort of, in a way, like retcon like the first Guardians of the Galaxy in a
Yeah,
way.
with his look as well. Yeah.
And just 2014 Thanos and Gamora sort of showing up, and how that was a big part of. Yeah, and I love the moment when Scarlet Witch shows up in front of Thanos, and she's like, "You took everything from me." And what does he say?
I
don't even know who you are. Yeah.
It's like it's so true.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that. Like when he talks about how this time it's personal. This time he's like, "I'm going to enjoy getting rid of Earth. Like fuck you guys." But like yeah, I thought that was really good, and I thought that was really just a whole interesting take. Because in the first movie, he was so like dedicated to his "I only kill who I need to." This time he's like, "I fucking hate you.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of you. Fuck off." Yeah.
There's the bit where he's looking at the shot of like the footage from Nebula, and he's like pesky Avengers or something. He says
Yeah.
that, he says something like that, and you're like, oh yeah, no, he was the one that sent Loki to Earth to get the Tesseract and all that. Anyway, so he does know who they are, and even in 2014, he still has quite a bit of history with them. But it just felt like a different. Like, it's the same character, but he felt different.
It was just a bit.
He was more just a classic villain, especially when he's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to reduce the universe to a single atom and then rebuild it as a grateful universe, whatever. And he's like, I'm going to enjoy killing
Yeah,
everyone on
like-
Earth. You're like, oh, okay, he's just a classic villain.
Because I didn't have the same investment in that Thanos, obviously, as the Infinity War Thanos, but it was still.
Well, I like that he changes. I like that he decides, all right, the whole 50% thing obviously doesn't work in the future. I have to change my strategy. I'm just going to fucking start again. Because in Infinity War, he hasn't seen what happens and he just thinks that everyone will eventually be grateful. But then he's like, all right, well, I guess they're not grateful. They just don't see the bigger picture and I can't change that. I'm just going to kill everyone.
But then make it so that they never think, like, they don't have, like, grief, I guess. Like, they only know.
Yeah, so I think that's actually a really quite smart plan. Just fucking destroy everything.
Yeah.
But it makes the stakes so much higher at the end too, you know, like they're literally fighting to save the entire universe. If he snaps his fingers, like the universe disappears. Like,
Yeah.
makes that end fight, like the stakes are as big as they can possibly
Oh
be.
yeah, like that was probably the first moment where I was really cheering on Captain Marvel was when he had the gauntlet and she was like the last. I was like, come on, please.
He
rip
almost
it off.
snaps his fingers like 3 times.
I
Like they keep the tension going and going, and then he does snap and no, there's nothing there. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's great.
And the special effects throughout the movie were just.
Nuts. Like you think about Professor Hulk, even little things like Old Cap, which is still like, you know, you can tell, but
Yeah.
pretty impressive. Hank Pym young, like, you know, even stuff like that. Tony being skinny, lots of little things that would have been like tough. So
Yeah.
I like it. All right, real quick, I wanted to talk about where the MCU goes from now and just the ramifications of bringing everyone back, right? Because if you think about it, you've got half the population that hasn't aged at all, has just come back instantly, and half the population now that's 5 years older, totally like traumatically fucked, like full of PTSD. And like, can you imagine trying to have a conversation with someone of like, oh, did you go see that cool movie next week? It's like, I don't care about movies anymore. I've been living in the apocalypse for like 5 years. Like, we don't just go back to being normal, you know? Like, everyone's still dealing with that grief. And like, if you think about Peter's high school, for instance, half the people that he went to school with are now like, you know, they've graduated. They're 5 years older. And then he comes back and like, half of his friends are like way older now. So how will they deal with all of this?
I was just thinking, remember in the first trailer how he's like, I don't want to take my Spider-Man suit. I just want to hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
I just thought of like,
Which friends?
or
All like
But
20 now,
in the
Pete.
trailer, all of the kids are still kids. That means they all got dusted, I assume. You know?
yeah,
I literally said exactly what you said before you got here.
Really?
Before you showed up, I said the exact same thing to these
Wow,
guys.
that's crazy.
Because like, I'm like, what? Yeah, like, did Ned die? Because is he gonna?
Must have.
Yeah, because like he comes back and Ned's just like been kept back a few years because he's so like depressed he can't do his maths assignments.
Like,
So,
legit.
like,
Like, weird.
Like that sounds like he sounds like crying.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I don't
actually-
know if he'd be crying if he died or like if he missed everyone.
well, here's my thing. Why they cry when they see each other? Because I guess like Ned might have thought he was dead, but like if Ned also got dusted, like Peter says, Peter's like, oh, we just passed out, now we're back. It's like going
To
sleep.
me, that looked like him consoling him because Tony had died.
Well, that's the thing.
That's
Or,
what I
like
thought.
maybe he's like, holy shit, dude, you went to space and I thought you died.
Yeah.
So like that's what I think that could be, but also at the same time, like when Hawkeye's family's like crying as they run to him, I was like, dude, it's been like a minute. Like they
Yeah,
got like
yeah.
they disappeared and they reappeared and then Dad's back.
Yeah,
it's like, oh
that's
shit, why
true.
the fuck did I wake up in the house? And Hawkeye's like, oh, you just passed out.
But they would have remembered dying, and that would have been pretty scary. So,
because I suppose they do remember like.
Yeah. How good was it? I really like the fact the movie just started.
yeah.
And it's just with Hawkeye, and you're like,
what the fuck?
and then like he
Yeah.
turns around, his daughter's gone. He turns around, they're all gone there. Because like the second the thing starts, you know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I know. It was that moment of like, oh.
And he's waiting. You're just waiting to see him turn around. And everyone's gone.
It's
But
a
then like
great
his
shot.
reaction's so awesome. And like just what happens to Hawkeye in this movie is really good. And,
Yeah.
Like obviously we're probably never gonna see him again, but I'm alright with that.
He's getting a TV show.
Oh sorry, yeah. We're never gonna see him in the movies
True.
ever again. So
Oh, well. But yeah, I was just thinking about like it's gonna be weird that it's a Spider-Man movie that has to deal with the aftermath of all of this. You know, like because they're traveling the world literally, so we're gonna get to see how they've pieced back together Italy and France
That'd be
and
really interesting.
like
to see.
all these places.
Yeah.
Like they have to address it because they've said it is after Endgame, so they're gonna have to address. Okay, we're living in 2023 now. Like they've refixed the world. Half of his friends are probably like older.
20.
Weird, right? So we'll see. We'll see how they do it. You guys have anything else? Because I've got stuff here.
Go, yeah.
Okay, sweet. I hope that they explore that 5-year gap in sort of comics and Disney Plus shows and stuff, because that's really interesting.
To
Like
see what
stuff.
happens in that time.
Yeah, and you see that they still are avenging, because it does that shot with like all of them of like updates from around the
Yeah,
universe
yeah.
and stuff, and like there's still lots of stories about like what happened during that time. And it's not like they erased that time; it still exists in our
Yeah.
timeline. So I hope they explore that.
Which I thought would happen. I thought they were going to go back to like Infinity War.
Yeah.
And like just see that the first time, like no, or something like that. Where like I'm amazed that they actually kept in the 5-year thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was because also like the only reason that they kept the 5-year thing is
Tony.
kind of sad is for Tony, and then he just died. So like now they're
Yep.
in a 5-year thing that literally no one wants to be in.
And it affects all the franchises. Like the next Black Panther movie is going to have to deal with the fact that like you'd assume that Black Panther 2 is going to be all about the effects of having Wakanda open to the world, but technically it's been 6 years since they opened it up to the world. But then Wakanda would have been messed up. Like they've got to deal with that. They've got to deal with it in Guardians, obviously. Like Gamora's still dead, but there's new Gamora.
Is there new Gamora? Because I
Yeah,
didn't see her. Was she on the ship at the end?
She's on the ship. He's searching for her, but I assume 2014 Gamora is still alive in the present day.
But wouldn't
that's-
she? Because if Tony
Snapped her back?
no, if
That's
he
what I
if he
was
just
thinking,
snapped
yeah.
back everyone back to their time, she would have been snapped back.
Yeah.
If he went by that
So
mentality.
is there no more Gamora? Like,
But weird that they had him searching as if they were leaving it open then.
Well,
for
who
like,
knows? Maybe because Star-Lord didn't fully understand this whole thing, so he still has that glimmer of hope. He's like, maybe she is still alive.
Can you imagine seeing your?
Because
Yeah.
I love how Hawkeye just straight up said, "Black Widow's dead," meaning
Yeah.
indirectly that Gamora's also
Yep.
fully dead.
It would suck though if you see like your dead lover and you walk up and she kicks you in the nuts twice. Which is a really funny scene, but like really dark.
It's also quite powerful,
yeah.
Like really dark. And Ava and I were expecting like Guardians 3 is going to be like Dear John, where she has no memories of him and they have to start the relationship again. But maybe not. Maybe we don't. But, yeah. Ah, yeah.
Now
Very true.
we might have Thor in Guardians 3.
Time
Yeah.
travel. Yeah, no, as Guardians of the Galaxy seems like pretty set, right? So I hope he is fat and still. He probably won't be,
won't be.
but
Yeah.
More fat Thor. Hashtag more fat Thor.
more fat Thor. Maybe it's in Chris Hemsworth's contract. It's like, I've been getting bulk for these movies for 10 years now. I've had enough. I just want to
Let me rest.
chub out. Yeah.
I want a dad bod.
I just love when Star-Lord's like, I'm the leader, right? And he's like, of course.
Of course. Yeah, that scene is so funny. Another weird thing that I worked out is last year there was a 10-year featurette, just before Infinity War came out, where there's a specific shot of Kevin Feige and it's Joe Russo, talking about the movies and stuff. And it is, if you look at it, it is the lake house that Tony and Pepper have in Endgame.
I do remember the featurette you're talking
Yep.
about. Yeah.
And they shot there's a few interviews with cast members at that lake house, and so it's like, damn, like they were showing that lake house and the fact that they were all there
Yeah.
before Infinity War came out, and none of us would have known,
Yeah.
But I
I thought
picked that, and I was
thought
like,
it-
what the fuck?
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought it was just like their writers' retreat, sort
Yeah.
of like they went to a lakeside place to write these last two movies.
But no, that's where they
Yeah.
filmed the funeral.
Forgot it.
That's it for me. I'm just looking through here.
Actually, one last thing. Did anyone get anything spoiled? Did anyone actually get anything ruined for them before they went in?
Nope.
I thought it was fake, but after seeing the movie, it was real. I saw some screenshots of Hulk putting on the glove, but I thought that was just bullshit because
Yeah.
because I saw that like
Sounds
a day
ridiculous.
or two before the release.
Where
I
are
don't
people?
know. It was on
posting this?
Instagram, and
Oh.
it was just really shit
You're
quality.
just following the wrong accounts. Yeah.
No, I was just on like the homepage, and it just came up. I was like, oh, that looks weird. That looks
It's like Mark Ruffalo's
Yeah.
Instagram page.
that
It's
looks
just
like a toy.
fuck it.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess after seeing the movie, I was like, oh wait, that was kind of spoiled, but it didn't really affect anything for me.
Yeah.
So that was alright.
I suppose like seeing screenshots from TV spots and that aren't spoilers. Or they are, but I don't know. It's just like,
Well, because some of them
that
are pretty
they
spoilery.
were so secretive with the first like two trailers, and then the last we were talking about the last like 2 weeks. It was like a new TV spot every day.
Yeah.
And I saw ones with Valkyrie in it. I was like, Jesus,
That said,
stop.
even with the showing a fair bit, they still kept a lot of it under wraps really smartly.
Well, like the time travel stuff was never really hinted at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although there is shots in the TV spots now of them putting their hands in, except
Yeah.
the watches are removed. The CGI'd the time travel devices out, so it just looks
Yeah.
like a dumb Avengers hand in, but it's like,
Especially since it's not a perfect circle. That kind of annoyed me when we first saw it. Like, the fucking hands go like this. It's always
oh really?
yeah, it's always kind of fucked. I'm like,
Well, there you go.
And
Come on,
and-
guys, do it again.
And then Rockets was just like, it was like so tiny. It was just like.
I love that all of them are in Ant-Man suits though. Like they all have the Ant-Man helmet.
Yeah,
like,
that was cool.
That's pretty cool.
except for War Machine.
Yeah, the one person.
Wait, does he need the Iron Man suit just so he can walk?
No, because he has those legs. Remember?
Yeah, just so he can walk.
in the suit because when
Oh,
he takes the suit
no, because
off,
I always thought
can't
because
walk.
those things look pretty bulky, so I figured he would take that off,
Well, I think
and then those are implanted in his suit.
Oh,
when he's on
okay.
the suit, he can walk.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Because you remember when
He takes it off.
he takes So
He
I'm
gets
thinking,
out of it and he has
I'm
to-
thinking
Yeah,
for
no, because he
normal-
says canopy,
Yeah.
and then it opens, and he's still got the leg.
Because probably says another word 3 times. I don't know.
on.
Well, yeah, because I always noticed those were pretty bulky, so I thought that he needed that suit to fully function. So yeah.
There you go. Anything else? Final thoughts?
Fulfilling.
Everything I could have hoped for and more.
I loved it. Now I guess there's not really going to be something like this for ages. Like to me, there's still sort of episode 9, but it's not nearly on the level that this is.
Yeah,
So.
it's just
The
doesn't
Rise of
compare.
Skywalker.
Life is different now. You know,
It's over.
I suppose the next big thing is Game of Thrones for me.
it's a
Yeah.
big week
That's
of
in a
death.
few
Which
days.
I won't be here for.
Woo! Watch Game of Thrones Dragon.
I-
Everyone in the comments say please watch Game of Thrones Dragon.
You can watch the whole thing, basically. If you started now,
I'll just
You
start
can watch
from
it all the way
episode
through.
3. I'll start on the final season, episode 3.
just probably the climactic episode of the whole series.
That
You
will
just
be
gotta
my
watch it.
first episode of Game of Thrones.
There you go.
Read markets and cosmic variety.
Well, similar thing. Can you imagine walking into Endgame without having seen any of the other ones?
I think we
Oh.
made that
You
joke
would be
yesterday.
so confused.
God.
Yesterday we were like, "There's gonna be one person or a couple
Yeah.
people that this is actually their first."
But there's
thing.
things that they just don't bother explaining, which would make no sense, like pin particles. You'd be like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck are pin particles?"
Well, even in Infinity War, like it's sort of like you at least need to know
Yeah.
basic knowledge, and this one you need to know even more.
Way more, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine like not even seeing Infinity War.
Like everyone will be cheering for Battle in New York, and you're like,
Well,
I don't even know
Thor:
what
The
this is.
Dark World,
yeah.
Guardians.
We should
stuff.
do it as an experiment. Like, just sit down someone who's never seen any of the Marvel movies and doesn't have a real knowledge of what happens, and just be like, "So what? What's going on? What's a pin particle?
What
What?
would- yeah,
What's the quantum realm?"
especially with the box office of the Ant-Man movies, they've never
Oh, yeah.
gone nearly as big as some of the others, and it's
Yeah.
just it was just little things like in the final battle when his truck went. I was just like,
yeah.
there's going to be a lot of people sitting here that didn't bother watching.
Or even cheeseburger jokes, or the fact that no one worked out as a kid from Iron Man 3. There's like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
I kind of like how like if you remember all that shit, it doesn't
talking to
change.
the mic.
If you don't remember that stuff, like if you don't remember the beeping of the van, it's okay because you see the van. Or like if you don't remember who the kid from Iron Man 3 is,
And it's
it
just a
doesn't-
funny noise.
yeah. Like if you don't remember who the kid from Iron Man 3 is, it's like, oh, there's a kid that I don't really know what that was, but it doesn't. Yeah.
Well, I know it's not important, but it's just like little things.
No,
that
but
are
what I
like,
mean is like,
Yeah.
I really like the deep cuts that people who really remember that are gonna get.
Or even
Yeah.
Howard Stark. Like, do they ever say his name?
No. Oh.
they just
Because
say
he says,
Howard.
"I'm Howard." He's like, that'll be easy to remember.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't think he ever says Howard Stark.
I think he does. Like after he says Howard Potts, he's like Howard Stark. I think.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
That seems funny. Especially when they had 2 people from Community. They had
Yeah,
Ken-
I was just gonna
Ken
say
Jeong.
That's
Ken
right.
for
Jeong.
one scene.
And that chick in the elevator, right?
Yeah,
I
and
knew she looked
Yvette,
familiar.
whatever her name is, Brown.
Oh,
I knew she looked familiar. But I
Yeah.
just didn't know where I'd seen her. I've never seen Community, but she's got one of those like faces.
They've kind of got everyone now except for like I guess Chevy Chase.
I love how they had, because the Jarvis in that scene was apparently from Agent Carter, like the
Yeah.
first
Yeah, he is first ever
Yeah, first
MCU TV character,
into a movie. Yeah.
which is crazy that out of all the people,
yeah,
out of
Jarvis.
all of the Agents of Shield characters, Agent Carter
Edwin
characters,
Jarvis.
they went for that random guy.
Yeah.
But that was a cool shout out. Where the frick was Where was Daredevil during all this?
It was
Did
Coulson.
Daredevil get dusted?
He was watching it happening.
Yeah, where was Coulson? Anyways.
Who knows
Dead?
what's going on?
Isn't he in the
Agents
future?
of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Isn't he like?
Oh, I haven't watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. up to date, so I don't know.
I don't know either, but all I remember is that someone said he was in the future. So
Now we've just
Spoilers.
actually spoiled something for all the
it's
other
all right if you
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spoilers all.
if you
Do you
saw
watch
Endgame,
Agents
you
of
don't need to
S.H.I.E.L.D.?
watch
I
Endgame.
am in the middle of season 4 at the moment.
Okay.
I got a bit behind. I am gonna catch up though, because
I've only
I do
watched
like.
the first 3 seasons.
Oh, of course. Season 4's alright. Alright, well, thank you guys very much for joining us here today
That's
for our
good.
Avengers Endgame spoiler special. There's so much that we probably have missed that we'll think about in about 10 minutes, but I think we've covered pretty much everything, and it's been awesome.
Yeah.
It's would have been a great movie, and it's one of the few movies that one of the most fun parts about it is where you get to sit and just talk about it at the end. Like, I've had so many conversations with people since, and every time there's new things that come up, and it's great. It's a hell of an experience.
Yep.
Sweet. All right. Well, I'll just do the outro. Then.
Just
Roll
have
to-
me back.
No worries. Thanks for coming back. Pleasing the fans. You're like the. Actually, you're gonna hate me for saying this, but you're kind of like the Captain Marvel of the team now. You know, like you're the new blood. You showed up, and everyone loved you, except for a few people, maybe. Heath haters out there. Let us know.
Cheers, Harry. Thanks, Heath.
Awesome. So thank you guys for watching. You can check out the previous episode of Slop with the First Draft podcast, which are a bunch of comedians who read terrible screenplays that never got made. So that was a really fun episode. You can check that out. We'll have Movies of the Future episode 5 coming out in, I guess, technically a week from when this comes out. So that'll be great. You'll get all of your April news and stuff. And we're going to actually have to work out
Oh, there's a lot
all the
of stuff
segments.
we need to cover.
Yeah, we've got a week. Anyways, also, Light Up Film Festival, hosted by the Slop Shacks, happening on May 23rd at Reading Newmarket Cinemas. So please book tickets now. The links are in the description. You can go to Eventbrite. There's a Facebook event. And if you have a short film out there, no matter where you're from, if you're from the Ukraine and you have an awesome music video or just a travel vlog or just a cool comedy short film, please submit it. You can either do it through like a linked thing, or we have Film Freeway. There's a whole bunch of options. So send it in. And you guys, send in short films. Or make one. You've got 3 weeks.
Let's go, boys.
You might get it on the big cinema screen. Cheers. Thank you guys very much.
That's okay.
And until next time,
I don't know about you, but I'm thirsty as fuck.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.